Hi. If I weren't in Iceland right now, I could speak with you directly, but this is my substitute, so sorry about that. I'd like to thank Pat and Joreen for organizing this show, and I look forward to seeing Barbara and Joy's paintings. So I thought I'd show you a little bit of my studio and explain a few things about the work that I'm exhibiting for you. So some of my work is sort of tall, kind of cluttering up my workspace. Um, this Antipodal Voices is one that is in the show. You might note that that little aluminum egg-like shape has a female face on one side and a male face on the other, and that the whole piece is a sort of abstraction of a human form where you have two supports that are kind of leg-like, a central element that kind of has the fire in the middle, and then a head-like part at the top. I have used the human form in different ways for the pieces for this show. I have some storage space for some work, and also down at the end is a space that's sort of cleaner for writing and painting with natural lighting. And this is my weld space. There's a plasma cutter, and I have a compressor there, my welder, and work table. So uh, about the pieces that I'm exhibiting, this one, Anguish, started out with a found object, which is this square block of wood that I bought a half a dozen or so of them from somebody who was intending to make them into ashtrays. Here's another one that I used for a wall piece that by including some metal, there's aluminum and cast iron, a little bit of gold leaf, and a sand dollar, and it comes into a different kind of form than Anguish. And I made the figures, two males and a female, and the fish shape from air dried clay, and the circular form is hydrocal, which is a harder form of plaster. So it's a metaphor for a situation, of course. These two small ones, Man versus Cell Phone and Man versus the Airport, were originally done for an exhibit in Washington, D.C. called Micro Monumentals. The requirement for that show was that the pieces could not be any bigger than 2 inches by 3 inches by 5 inches. So I'll tell you, for someone who's accustomed to working bigger than that, it's kind of a challenge to come up with something that looks like something. And it was rather well reviewed, actually. So how I did these is to cast from this wood carving of a male face that I had done I cut it from a piece of wood that I found at Maudsley State Park. And then I used my old cell phone and bonded the two. So it's kind of like, how bonded are we to our cell phones? That's why it's versus. The other one is less obvious to you probably. The image on the back comes from this printer's plate, which I think I might actually be holding it upside down. Anyway, it's a printer's plate for an image from a newspaper, and it's of the Lawrence, Massachusetts airport. Well, since I grew up in Lawrence, I was kind of fascinated by that, and that's why I bought it. This is when I print the image on with a stamp pad, there's the positive of it. And here is a photograph from Google of the actual airport. You can see the curvy line on the left is the Merrimack River, and the dark blue area on the right is part of Lake Kachikowick, and then the runways of the airport. So that's a little bit about that piece. And as far as optimism, that one was I did a series of things that are visual metaphors for human traits. So this is one example where if you're trying to depict the concept of optimism, I think having a vertical form that is somewhat kinetic in a way and a bright color is a good way to suggest that feeling. I have another one that's made of steel in Newburyport on exhibit right now that is on the concept of perseverance. So I have done a series of things that are human traits. So although it doesn't depict a human form, it is really about an element of the essence of being a human. So hopefully that helps you to understand the pieces a little bit better. And thank you very much for coming. And I look forward to seeing the whole show.